The sun rose, casting golden light over the forest where the Buddha rested under the ancient Bodhi tree. A troubled farmer approached, his face drawn with worry, his hands clasped as if holding an invisible burden. "Master," he said, his voice trembling, "my community suffers from unjust rulers who tax us harshly and show no compassion." The Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze steady yet warm, radiating a peace that calmed the farmer's agitation. "Tell me, my friend," the Buddha began, his voice as gentle as the morning breeze. "What weighs heaviest upon your heart?" The farmer hesitated, his words catching like thorns. "Before admitting, anger fills my heart, and I fear its consequences." The Buddha gestured to the river nearby, its waters flowing steadily, undisturbed by stones in its path. "Do you see that river?" the Buddha asked. "Its power lies not in rage, but in its unwavering calmness." The farmer looked puzzled, and replied, "Master, how can calmness achieve what anger demands with force and urgency?" The Buddha picked a leaf from the ground and held it aloft, its veins visible against the light. "This leaf," he said, "seems fragile, yet it provides shade and sustenance, changing its surroundings without any violence." The farmer frowned, his confusion deepening. "But, Master, how can we create change without confronting the oppressors with equal strength?" The Buddha smiled, setting the leaf gently onto the surface of the river, watching it float effortlessly downstream. "When resistance is gentle," he explained, "it harnesses the strength of nature itself, unstoppable because it aligns with truth." The farmer sat beside the Buddha, listening intently as the master continued, his voice steady and clear. "Anger," the Buddha said, "is like fire. It burns the one who holds it, spreading destruction indiscriminately." The farmer nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. "But if we are peaceful, won't we appear weak and powerless?" The Buddha reached into the soil, lifting a handful to reveal the roots of a small sapling. "Strength," he said, "lies in what is unseen. Just as these roots hold the tree firm against the storm." The farmer pondered this, his breathing slowing, his thoughts settling like dust after the wind. "So, Master," he asked, "how should we approach those who treat us unfairly? If not with anger?" The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as if drawing wisdom from a wellspring deep within himself. "With truth," he said, "spoken with compassion, and unity among your people. These are more powerful than any weapon." The farmer tilted his head, curious now. How can truth and compassion inspire change when rulers refuse to listen? The Buddha leaned forward slightly, his presence grounding, as though the earth itself spoke through him. "When words fail," he said, "let actions speak. Act with peace, for peace unites hearts and transcends resistance." The farmer remained silent, absorbing the Buddha's words like rain seeping into parched ground. "Master," he finally said, "how do I convince others to join me in peaceful protest? Not all believe in its power." The Buddha rose gracefully, pointing to the sky where birds flew in perfect formation, their movements synchronized. "See those birds?" he asked. "Alone, they are vulnerable, but together, they navigate storms and find strength in unity. Let go of the ripples, and you shall rediscover the stillness within." The disciples absorbed the wisdom, their hearts opening to the simplicity and depth of the teachings. "We must move as one, grounded in peace, for only then can we truly create change." The Buddha placed a hand over his heart, his gesture tender yet firm, as he imparted his final guidance. "Lead with your heart," the Buddha said, "but guide it with wisdom. Only then can peace become a force unstoppable." The farmer bowed deeply, gratitude radiating from his being. As he vowed to share these teachings with his community, the Buddha watched him leave, his figure dissolving into the horizon, a seed of change planted in his soul. The river continued to flow, silent yet powerful, mirroring the quiet strength that now coursed through the farmer's heart. The sun climbed higher, its light illuminating the path ahead, a journey toward justice shaped by peaceful resolve. The Buddha turned his gaze back to the Bodhi tree, his presence as steadfast as the ancient roots below, in the stillness of the forest. The teachings lingered, woven into the air, a timeless guide for all who seek peace. Another day, the Buddha wandered into the city of Vaisali, where the air buzzed with murmurs of discontent among its people. A group of women approached, their faces weary yet determined, their presence a silent cry for justice and recognition. "Master," one woman said, her voice trembling, "we are denied access to the gardens. Excluded because of our humble origins." The Buddha observed their sorrow, his gaze steady and filled with compassion, as he motioned them to sit before him. "Tell me," he said gently, "what do you seek in these gardens that you believe will bring you peace?" The woman hesitated before replying. "The gardens are beautiful, but they symbolize equality. We want to walk freely, as others do." The Buddha nodded, understanding their anguish, and pointed to a nearby lotus pond, its surface shimmering in the sunlight. "Do you see the lotuses?" he asked, his voice calm as the still water. "They grow in mud but remain unstained." The women exchanged glances, confusion flickering in their eyes, unsure of the meaning behind his question. "One's origins," the Buddha continued, "do not determine one's worth. The lotus rises above the mud, untainted and radiant." The woman who had spoken first asked, "But Master, how can we, like the lotus, rise above such unfair treatment?" The Buddha picked a lotus bloom, holding it delicately, its petals unfolding in quiet harmony with the world. "Resist without hate," he said, "and let your actions reflect your dignity, like this lotus that embodies peace." Another woman spoke, her voice filled with despair. "Will peace alone change the minds of those who oppress us?" The Buddha placed the lotus in her hands, his gaze serene, as he said, "Peace transforms hearts because it transcends fear." The women, inspired yet doubtful, asked, "How do we act peacefully when anger burns within us, threatening to consume our resolve?" The Buddha gestured to a tree nearby, its branches laden with fruit. Despite the harshness of the soil it grew in, "Patience," he said, "nourishes peace. Like this tree, your growth depends on perseverance, even in difficult conditions." The women nodded, their eyes softening as understanding began to dawn, though uncertainty lingered in their expressions. "Master," one asked, "how do we begin this journey of peaceful resistance without losing hope or unity?" The Buddha smiled, his presence calming as a gentle rain, and said, "Start small, like a seed, yet aim to flourish." He added, "Let your protest blossom with symbols of peace." Much like the lotus inspires beauty and balance in its environment, encouraged by his words. The women discussed their plight further, their voices finding strength in unity and shared determination. "Master," the first woman said, "if we fail, how can we ensure our efforts still hold meaning and purpose?" The Buddha leaned forward slightly, his voice firm yet tender, as he replied, "Failure lies not in outcome but in giving up." He continued, "Even a single act of peace has the power to ripple across time, inspiring future generations to seek justice." The women bowed their heads, deeply moved, as they resolved to follow the path he had illuminated with his wisdom. The Buddha, sensing their resolve, said, "You are like the river, gentle yet unstoppable when united, carving a new path for others." The women departed, each step infused with purpose. Carrying the lotus bloom as a symbol of their peaceful resistance, they organized a gathering in Vaisali, adorning themselves with lotuses, their silent protest a vision of grace and unyielding strength. The citizens, drawn by the beauty and dignity of their cause, began to question the exclusion practiced within their community. Their unity and persistence brought about change, opening the gardens to all, a triumph born of peace and patience. The Buddha watched from afar, his heart as still and boundless as the sky, knowing his teachings had planted fertile seeds in the silence of the night. The lotus blooms shimmered under the moonlight, a testament to resilience and unity. The gardens, now a place for all, echoed with the voices of equality, guided by wisdom and the power of peace. Another day, the Buddha sat quietly in his monastic retreat, his presence calm as the rising sun illuminated the landscape. A weary merchant approached, flanked by anxious workers, their faces tense with worry and burdened by the weight of conflict. "Master," the merchant began, his voice heavy, "my workers protest the conditions I impose. Yet their defiance creates discord within my enterprise." The Buddha gazed at the group, his expression steady yet filled with compassion. As he gestured for them to sit together, "What troubles you most?" the Buddha asked, his voice a soothing balm that eased the tension brewing between the merchant and his workers. The merchant hesitated, avoiding the workers' gazes. Before replying, "Their resistance grows each day. Yet I fear conceding will lead to ruin." The Buddha turned his attention to the workers, their posture reflecting both frustration and exhaustion. As they remained silent, "What drives your protest?" the Buddha asked, his tone gentle yet probing, inviting honesty without judgment or fear. One worker, emboldened by the Buddha's calm presence, said, "Master, we seek fairness, yet our voices are met with anger and dismissal." The Buddha nodded, understanding their plight, and pointed to a towering tree nearby, its branches swaying in the wind. "Do you see this tree?" he asked, his voice firm yet tranquil. "Its roots anchor it, even amidst storms and chaos." The merchant frowned, perplexed, while the workers exchanged cautious glances, unsure of the wisdom offered through the tree's metaphor. "Resistance," the Buddha explained, "is like the wind testing the tree. Strength comes from balance between persistence and grounded intentions." The merchant tilted his head, seeking clarity. "Master, how can I guide my workers without losing control or respect?" The Buddha approached the tree, placing his hand on its trunk, feeling the rough texture that endured the storm's force. "Lead like this tree," he said. "Strong roots offer stability, while branches sway, adapting gracefully to challenges and compromises." The workers watched intently, their expressions softening, as the Buddha's words planted seeds of understanding within their minds. One worker asked, "Master, how can our voices reach him when his position shields him from our struggles?" The Buddha placed his hand over his heart, a gesture of empathy, and replied, "Let your voices rise not with anger, but purpose." He added, "Peaceful persistence reveals truth more effectively than shouting. Just as water wears down stone through steady, gentle flow." The merchant shifted uncomfortably, his thoughts churning as he questioned how to respond without diminishing his authority. "Master," he asked, "what if their resistance continues? How can I protect my enterprise while addressing their grievances?" The Buddha turned to the workers, observing their determination, and said, "Approach him with clarity, anchored by respect, free of resentment." He continued, "Find dialogue that transcends fear and hostility, for mutual understanding creates bridges stronger than any forceful barrier." The merchant and workers remained quiet, absorbing his wisdom like sunlight breaking through clouds, illuminating paths toward reconciliation. One worker finally spoke, her voice resolute, "Master, how can fairness prevail when those in power often refuse to share it?" The Buddha picked a fruit from the tree, holding it aloft to show its growth despite the harsh soil beneath. "Fairness," he said, "is cultivated through patience, Much like this fruit's ripeness emerges from nurturing despite difficult circumstances. The merchant sighed, his shoulders drooping slightly, as the tension within him began to dissipate under the Buddha's calm guidance. Master, he said, how do I rebuild trust and cooperation when conflict has divided us so deeply? The Buddha placed the fruit in the merchant's hand, his gesture both symbolic and profound. As he offered his counsel, rebuild trust, he said, by sharing. As this tree shares its fruit, compassion nourishes relationships and dissolves barriers over time. The workers listened attentively, their minds awakened to the possibilities of reconciliation shaped by mutual respect and understanding. Master, one worker asked, how can we balance patience with urgency when conditions demand immediate action for survival? The Buddha pointed to the tree's roots, their slow yet determined growth providing the foundation for its towering strength. Balance, he said, is achieved through mindfulness, finding harmony between urgency and enduring effort to sustain change. The merchant and workers exchanged looks, their gazes softening, as they began to recognize each other's humanity through the Buddha's wisdom. Master, the merchant asked, what if our efforts fail? How do we continue amidst despair and hopelessness? The Buddha placed both hands on the tree, his touch gentle yet firm, and replied, failure plants seeds for future growth. He added, even storms that topple trees prepare the soil for new life. Just as challenges reveal strength hidden within, the workers and merchant bowed deeply, gratitude radiating from their beings as they resolved to embrace his teachings together. They sat in silent meditation, reflecting on the Buddha's words, their minds aligning with the path of peace and understanding. When they finally spoke, their voices carried new clarity, shaping dialogue that transcended division and inspired cooperative solutions. Through steady, deliberate efforts, they restructured their enterprise, creating bonds of mutual respect and fairness rooted in shared mindfulness. The Buddha watched from afar, his heart as boundless as the horizon, knowing his guidance would ripple across time and space. In the stillness of the retreat, the towering tree swayed gently, a testament to strength, patience, and the art of reconciliation. The merchant and workers left, their journey transformed by the wisdom they carried, united by peace and sustained by hope. Rushing clouds the mind, preventing it from seeing clearly. Buddha said, embrace the journey with trust, knowing each step unfolds as it should. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.